You're listening to Kelly Martin Speaks. I'm your host, Kelly, and the author of When Everyone Shines But You, a self-acceptance blogger and recovering darkness addict. I have experienced intense anxiety, deep depression, and life trauma, but I'm coming out of the other side now. Darkness was a comfort zone for me for a long time, and it felt safer than the light. So in this podcast I share with you my journey into the light and how I move through challenge in an empowering way. I'll share with you tools and nurturing ways to embrace your humanity. I was once a shy, scared introvert, afraid to speak, but that's all changing. Let's take this journey together and learn to fly. Welcome back to Kelly Martin Speaks. I'm your host, Kelly. This is episode 14. Do you have many problems in your life? Do you feel like you're suffering or struggling with certain issues? Do you feel like the world is out to get you? That the world rejects you? That everything just seems to be wrong with the world? And people seem to be getting on your nerves and you feel like you wish things were just different in the world. But what if the cause of your problems are not out there? Now, I'm not saying this to make you feel bad about yourself. I'm just saying this to perhaps it's time to take responsibility for your own power. Now, you may think that somebody's putting pressure on you, or maybe somebody's not doing something you've asked them to do. Perhaps you're living in an area that's really noisy. Now, I live in an urban area in the city, and it can be quite noisy. I have neighbours who can put loud music on, or I have neighbours who scream, and children who scream, and some days it can really get to me. Especially because I'm quite a sensitive person and quite introverted, and I like my quiet time. I like nature. I like looking at the birds and the bees and the trees and watching the squirrels. I really like my peace and tranquility. And some days, if I'm extra sensitive, or when as a woman I'm hormonal, I can feel quite irritated. And I find the world outside of me is too much. It is too loud. It's too scary. It's too aggressive. And I can get into that place where I blame the world. I blame my surroundings. I blame the people for making noise. I even blame my neighbours for having small children. But that's not really what's happening. That's not the truth. Because really, there are people in this world who live in very noisy areas. Yet when you meet them, they are the most peaceful, calm, relaxed individuals you could ever meet. I live with my best friend Michael, and Michael's 81 this year. We can be sitting in the garden together, and I'll hear a really loud boombox going on over the fence, or someone smoking and it's interfering with my breathing. And I will get angry and I will go red in the face and I'll get really irritated and upset. Now Michael will sit there, peaceful, calm, present. It doesn't affect him at all. He lets noise and things like this just wash over him. So it made me realise that nothing out there is the cause of our problems. Even the horrible things that are happening in the world, in politics, in war-torn countries, where abuse and atrocities are taking place. They are not the cause of our problems. It's how we respond to what is taking place that is the cause of our problems. We may have been taught as children to react angrily or go inside of ourselves and feel stressed. But we get to a point when we're adults and we need to start to own our reactions and our responses to life. Now, I could choose to avoid the world. I could hide in my house. I could wear headphones as I walked around town, so I didn't have to hear the world. But what is the point of that? It's not life. It's not living. Many years ago, I was suffering from quite severe anxiety, and I hadn't been to a meditation class in years. So I went to this meditation class locally, run by a woman who does meditation with Tibetan singing bowls, and she uses her voice too. So I entered the meditation room, which was in the middle of the city, and it was down a small speciality street. It was a very small room, but the windows were open because it was really warm and it was summer. And I sat in the corner. And I was so looking forward to relaxation and peace and calm. And she started playing her singing bowls and started singing, and it was beautiful. I had my eyes closed. And then the telephone went in the shop downstairs. And the woman started talking loudly. And then outside of the meditation room, somebody started using a pneumatic drill. And this meditation room was very close to the cathedral. And then bells started chiming in the cathedral. And this was followed by seagulls, which can be quite loud, and they sound like they're laughing. And I started to become really stressed inside. I had a panic attack. I didn't move because I didn't want anybody to know. So I was sitting, my breathing, I couldn't breathe. I was really hot. I felt like I was going to pass out. And then I remembered mindfulness and how it's all about being present with what is and allowing what arises for us. So I sat in my chair and I thought, I can't do this. What is going on? What does this all mean? And I received the answer that everything outside of me, the noise I heard that was disturbing me, was the noise inside of my own mind that was disturbing me. I wasn't allowing myself enough time just to be with myself. And I was finding the thoughts and my inner world distressing. So it was manifesting as a noisy outer world. And the more I realised this, the more I saw that all of the noises together, even the pneumatic drill, along with the bird song and the cathedral and the telephone ringing and the loud voices outside, it was all harmony. It was like a musical rendition, albeit strange, of something quite beautiful. And as I allowed the sounds to come into me and absorbed them and welcomed them in, they became music. And my face began to smile. And I felt really, really happy and peaceful. So I moved from a state of extreme panic into peace and joy, simply by taking responsibility for what was happening inside of me. We can change the world, we can make a difference, but it does start inside of us. When you see things on the news or in the media and it's painful and stressful to you, and you get angry, why is that happening? I wish that wasn't happening. How is he doing that? This needs to stop. Now you can march on Downing Street or wherever you are in the world And that's fine, that's great if you feel inspired. But you can also start to bring in that which you see that is hurting you into you, and recognize that the war, the atrocities, the abuse, all happens inside of you. It's in your world. How many times do you criticize yourself? How many times are you at war in your own mind? How many times do you abuse yourself? And this is where we need to begin to have self-kindness, self-compassion, and most importantly, self-acceptance. The more we're able to make peace with the noise in the world, inside of ourselves, the more the outer world will no longer affect us in the same way. And it may even change the outer world. So if you want to change the world, begin to see that the cause of your problems are not out there. Thanks for listening to another episode of Kelly Martin Speaks. If you would like to offer a suggestion for another podcast, email me on kellymartinspeaks@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye. Thanks for listening to Kelly Martin Speaks. I'd love to reach more people. So if you could subscribe to me on iTunes and leave a review, this really helps. And if you'd like to support my work, pop over to kellymartinspeaks.co.uk to read more, or follow me on social media, or visit my YouTube channel. A donation is always welcome. Thanks everyone.